We're hanging in our Hamilton gear. Do you have any topics you want to talk about?
No, not really.
It's also, some people are morning people, some people aren't. And so at 9 a.m., not a tough time. But of course, as soon as you make something at 9 a.m., you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. I was already up. I mean, it's later here. It's 10.
Yeah.
But I was already up, and then I was like, wait a second. Isn't there a Hamilton this evening? And I had to like go change really quickly, and now I put my sweatshirt on anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, but you had it on and we saw it. It makes it official.
Hey,
Hey,
Aaron.
Steph.
Hey,
Hi, Aaron.
hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Haven't seen you in ages.
You look really pretty there this early in the morning.
Yeah, it is early there. I think you and
Hey,
Jason
Aaron.
are on the same time.
I really like Spirit Days, if you can't tell.
Oh, you did your hair too, Aaron. Wow.
I had to channel my inner high schooler because I really didn't have time to do my hair otherwise. So.
And did you pin up a bunch of things behind you that aren't normally there?
Yeah, Catherine did too.
Yep.
No, I saw that.
Yeah.
I just wore this.
We really like Spirit Days.
Yes, this is the first thing I ever printed at Hamilton.
Oh.
Brought lots of things.
Oh, actually, if I moved over here, I could be in front of the thing that I printed at Hamilton during my apprenticeship.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
There you go. It's sort of in there. I don't even understand how this camera works. There we go.
Nice. So
Very exciting. But this is a more comfortable place to sit right now.
Hey, Jason.
What's up, guys? I just wanted to log in and see who is early and like who does this at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning Denver time.
10
Ew.
really.
yeah,
Only,
for us.
only.
7 in the morning here in LA.
Ah,
Oh,
Glory is.
Only
Well,
to
I've been
get
up
Zoom.
since 4, so
Oh no.
It looks like we're getting Zoom bombed by Tammy down there. It makes me very uncomfortable.
She's doing work.
Yeah, I should be.
Nah.
That's a really cute picture, Tammy.
Is
I like it. I was trying to find a picture. I was trying to find Hamilton memories, like Jane and Stephanie and me on top of the Hamilton building. Hi, Richard. When they were about to move, we got to go up on the roof of the business building.
We were never on the roof. What are you talking
That
about?
didn't happen. Jim left town. Nothing happened.
I've been learning
What's
to edit
your-
these videos, so you're safe.
You're editing.
Yeah.
I wish there was a pause button so you could eat without everyone seeing.
Yeah,
I mean, you just turn your camera off for a minute.
that's why my camera's off. I'm eating.
All right.
Last week, I just ate a hoagie on a Zoom call because why not? It was at dinner time. What was I supposed to do? I was hungry.
Yeah. It is funny though. You become very aware of how you eat when you have to watch yourself eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hi, Larry.
Hello.
Larry,
everyone.
I really liked the postcards you shared last time. They were really lovely. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
I like Jason's avatar though. It's his Genghis Khan Lego guy. So silly. I brought my type. And Norb cut it and gave it to me, which like is a thing they're supposed to do. But
That's so sweet.
I made him sign it, and he gave me a really funny look. So it was worth
That's a really good Norb souvenir.
it. Last time I saw him, I had to find this. He was wearing this sweet jacket. It was like a track jacket. That was gold.
That guy.
Kitty? The glorious kitty.
Does anybody else want Tony to show us his lair right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that manacle. What's
Lady
going
Coop.
on there?
The incredible Scott Moore teaching me how to do my laser
Yeah. Where is
or use my laser to engrave things. And so this is actually going out on a poster collective to all my friends. Did I see Gloria in there?
Yeah.
She's
Is
above.
Gloria there?
I like
Hey,
to
Glo-
talk about that picture was above me.
Yes, I'm here. Who's asking?
Yeah.
So Tony, that
Yeah,
was
so
laser
I've been
cut
doing
then?
this.
That was laser cut, Tony?
Yes, sir.
And now is the dark part that was the part that was cut?
Yeah, that was burned away. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been working on this. Oh, by the way, Stephanie, did you get my email about a shirt for the 20 for 20 collective?
I did.
What
I love
size
small.
what size could I send you?
Small would be great. Thank you.
Small? All right, I'm on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh,
Hey,
collective. Now I get it.
good to
Yes, now I get it. Okay.
Had to connect all the dots.
Yeah, I connect all the dots. Yeah, thanks.
Tony, actually, do you mind telling everybody what you're doing? Because it's a really cool project.
Oh yes, sure. Not to bore, but so I have an SP20 in my studio, and so I reached out to Paul Moxon, who gave me a list of printer creatives who have also have either access or own one, and so a collective for SP20s on. Oh, did I just lose everybody?
No.
We can hear you. You're a little frozen, but I
So
can hear you.
anyway, so the 20 for 20 or SP20 owner operators for 2020 from the 1920s to jazz age. So that's a theme, and it's open. Anything music related, anything that has to do with that 1920 to 1929 ish on either side. So I guess there's nearly 30 contributors to the collective. So it's been really fun to meet a lot of people and just kind of get that off the ground. So right in the middle of that. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's really cool, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have a 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all you got to do is know somebody who has a.
I'll be right back. Dog's losing.
Scott looks way too comfortable for me.
God.
Hello, everyone.
I wish I had
Thanks, Scott.
It took me a while to figure it out, so I brought my Hamilton mug.
So the only thing I have from Hamilton, if I can share, I have, and I think, well, David knows this, and Jim and Bill knows this, and I hope I don't freeze. I have J.E. Hamilton's 673 type. This is like a little sample. J.E. Hamilton moved to Pasadena in the 1920s, right? And took his type with him. And I found it literally 3 blocks from the press in an antique store and bought it, freaked out, didn't even know what it was. And then when I contacted Jim and we did a specimen sheet, and he goes, "So do you have this?" And I go, "Uh-huh." But I was nice. I don't know if he cut it yet. We sent him a nice high-res specimen sheet, so he can cut it at Hamilton if he wants to.
Oh,
But
that's
apparently it's the only place it exists now, the original type. I was shocked, and I'm glad it ended up with us, so not in someone's coffee table, And so but we made a little thing on Dystopia, kind of appropriate too for today. My students did this right before the final closing of it, and we thought it was really appropriate. So anyway, that's all I have from Hamilton. Everything else is
Oh,
love.
that's all. Just that one little thing.
Just that one little thing, little type.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And Richard Zion, I don't know that I've said hi to you in any of these calls yet. They've been so full and so busy. So hi, it's so nice to see your face.
That's good. That's all right. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Richard. This is kind of like the first call where it was like a lot more chill.
Yes, it is. We're just gonna do them at random times. I'll do like a 3 a.m.er. That'll be the race call.
Everyone's wasted.
My question is, how did Jen get the 7 p.m. one? Isn't she sleeping by then usually?
I know. I love that she took the 7 p.m. one. I thought that was cute. I was like, Jen, you know that's gonna be a party, right? And she was like, yeah, well, I'll be at my studio. I said, okay. So I can't wait to see what she shares. I know she's been working on some stuff lately, mostly clamshell boxes for the latest project she's been doing.
We all need backgrounds like we're at Hamilton, but mine doesn't work anyway.
I can't get a background either.
Done that.
Oh, looks super dark. Well,
I like your hobbit hole, Gwendolyn.
that's where I'm sitting at the pandemic in the Shire. And here's my Hamilton gear from the Ways Goose last fall when I joined.
Thank you for being a member.
Yay.
It's a delight. Thanks for holding down the fort. My goodness.
Yeah, I'll be going into the museum tomorrow. In fact, to work on Ham 20s. We need to get those wrapped up and out the door. So it'll still be a couple weeks, but with everything on pause, we'll get it wrapped up and get them going. Cool. Yeah, it'll be exciting.
I brought a series of posters that I think are from 2017. In 2017, during the summer, we had a series at Hamilton. We had a series of interviews with people who have played a significant part in either the Hamilton business or the museum. And I believe these posters were designed and printed by Stephanie, and they relate to the role that each person's played. And the first one had to do with designing the font, drawing the character, and cutting the template, and mounting the pattern for use on the pantograph. And then the next one had to do with the wood. Start with maple, you chop it down, you saw it up, and you dry it out. And so each one of these posters went with a live interview with an audience at the museum. This one's sort of interesting. Routed from a single block of maple with a tracer, a router, a pattern, and an operator on a pantograph. And it sort of shows the various steps in cutting the wood as you cut a letter, finally ending up with an O at the bottom. And let's see, then the hand finishing was, I'll move it a little bit further back so you can see the whole thing. Hand finishing with cutting dies and gravers to reform the rounded corners and prints. And let's see, I think there's one more that had to do with just keeping the company running. Fix and mend, nuts and bolts, oil and grease, adjust and set. And as I recall, the interviewee was someone who was involved in those things at the company. Fine, thank you.
And Larry, you helped with those. I was going to say it was a team effort. You, Jim, and I worked together on a lot of those.
I might have printed one or two of the colors, and yeah, a couple of them. Yeah, right.
Those are great. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, that was it was a fun project. It was our Hamilton stories, and that one you're holding up was Bill Ahern, and people might not know his name as much.
Right, yeah. Okay.
He was the repairman for all of Hamilton, and so he was 98 when he did his interview, and he sold the
see.
house out. Yeah, it was standing room only. We had to bring in more and more chairs because the whole, like, everybody in town knew Bill. Bill was funny, and so yeah, that was a really interesting interview.
Okay.
And
Fine.
you guys can watch them. It was a oral histories project we did. It was funded by the Wisconsin Arts Board, and it was 6 different 1-hour-long interviews. Jim Moran interviewed the people who worked and helped make the wood type process happen. So everyone who worked at the original Hamilton factory, or at least 6 people, and those are on our YouTube channel, so you can watch those. They're good. So.
Stephanie, did I have the year right? Was that 2017, do you think?
Yeah. I'll go look real quick. It was
It's not a big deal.
I think it was 2016 or 2017.
An interesting side story to that, just the fix and mend is when I was there one summer working with Jim and putting in the handrails, we went ahead and showed Jim how to replace the bearings in the pantograph. He'd already had bought them, and I did one, and he did all the rest. So it's amazing that it was a standard size, and you could still buy the bearings for the pantographs. So.
Yeah, you got to work with Bill, right, Scott?
Bill and Jim, yeah.
Yeah. And it was 2015. I just looked it up. The years.
Okay. Okay.
Larry, will you hold up the cutting one? I think that one's the coolest.
Which one?
I think the cutting one, is that the one that like shows the 2 sides? I can't remember.
Let's see. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I think that's so nicely done. Good job.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Good composition, and it really explains the way it works in a static way, which is so hard to do because it's such a fast thing. So like you captured it perfectly in all the little pieces.
And the other interesting side is Jerry McCormick follows your rules and cuts 2 pieces of type out of each block, rotating it. I tried that a long time ago, and I just can't stay in 1/2. I always wander over and damage the first one I did. So Jerry's following your rules, and I'm following different rules. But the poster shows it. That's such a nice poster.
Yes, that's one of Stephanie's designs.
My husband David was learning to cut type at the time, and so I went to him and said, can you cut me these pieces specifically for this process? Because we'd already had some that were just partially done. So it was really nice to be able to go and ask him to create a piece specifically for it. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Is that poster up on display in the wood type area or in the pantograph area?
It is on display in the coat room area. So when you first come in, we have the Hamilton stories kind of laid out, but not in the pantograph area. So, but we are redoing the museum display so that what happens when you guys come to the top of the ramp and see when you walk in, that's all going to be changing. We're doing what we can within budgets and within timelines for this first year for October or November for Ways Goose. And then we've got a plan for the next couple years as well. So. Yeah, so I'll recommend we could look at maybe that because it's a static way of showing it. It's a good point. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you showing those. That's really sweet. I think some of them are still for sale online. We'll have to see if they're up and available. Not all, some of them have sold out. So, does anyone else have any Hamilton posters or prints or T-shirts or pieces that they want to show off that they brought?
I have, it's downstairs, I could go grab it, but I have also during my internship, apprenticeship, whatever you want to call it, in that weird gap when Jim had just taken over the museum and I got to come and just spend like 2 weeks with him alone. It was amazing. Bill and I printed the Halloween posters, a round of those, and I have one that I have not framed or hung up in my house yet since I moved in, because like priorities, I guess, and like framing something huge is expensive. But like it's one of my most treasured Hamilton mementos. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll be back.
Erin, I saw you holding something up, and those wonderful people are on this call right now.
I was gonna put them on the spot since they came. The field notes. These are the ones I ported. This one's from Ways Goose. But.
Yeah, I shaved the Moran here, so that's my spirit.
That was so long ago. I was talking to
so long ago.
Somebody about that yesterday, and it feels like it wasn't, more than a couple of years ago, but I think it was 6 or 7 years ago now. How long was that process, Stephanie?
That was it. Well, from talking, it was a couple years, but once we got it going, it was what, almost a year?
Not quite that. I think we started in July and it came out. What quarter did it come out? Was it spring?
Thought it was spring.
Yeah. So not quite a year. Yeah, but probably close to
like 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was more like 8 or 9. Do you guys mind if I introduce you, since everyone might not know you?
No, sure.
Okay.
Although I recognize most of the people here, to my surprise.
We have a ham fam, which will come to 9 a.m. calls, which is wonderful. So 2 of the people on the call were our huge friends / partners / made it happen for when we did the field notes. So Matthew and Brian were our big contacts, and they got to come and help. You guys got to help design pieces as well, right?
Yeah, we set some of them. Aaron was up there. Aaron Joplin was there too. So we hand typeset a bunch of stuff and then made Jim do all the hard part. And you.
Yeah, I got to be organizer, so I just made sure all the paper and everything was prepped and ready to go in the press, and all the ink was prepped. And then he ran the Heidelberg to windmill to make it happen. It was
so really you had the hard part.
Keeping everybody in track.
Yeah.
The run was what? 25,000 pieces was what you had. But we had
voice and switches to the
colors.
person.
Yeah, 2 up.
Yeah,
there were 4 different papers and 7 different forms, I think. And then we switched up colors and angles and things to make them as varied as possible.
Yeah, I don't know that much about the process of actually printing it, because we just set the forms. We spent a couple weeks up there total. We spent like a week or 3 days looking at stuff and talking to you guys, and then another 3 or 4 days actually set the form. But then you took it, and we had, we had 4 different papers and 3 or 4 different inks, and then you guys were switching the forms and the inks and the papers and kind of maneuvering all that to try to make as many different permutations of those combinations. So what was that like?
There was lots of stacks, and actually,
I remember the stacks.
Lots of stacks. It had to be spring because it was like, we don't normally do things in the museum that people can't photograph, and we had to be so secretive. So our staff press room was off limits to anyone who visited during that time. But you could kind of see all the stacks, just no one knew what they were. Richard, did you visit during that time when we had them?
Time with all the sheets on.
Yeah, they were everywhere. And so what we did was we took all the different colors and just made stacks. And then on the top, we would put a note that said what ink color and what form. And so that way, and then we did it so that we didn't have to change, because for the form, the lockup's easy to change, but the ink color is harder. So we did it so we could do all the blue at once and all the red at once. And so, so that's how it ran. We haven't done the Heidelberg much since then. But Ben Jones has been in to look at it. So we just need to plan another thing that we need to print 75,000 of.
That was the coolest field notes ever too, just in case anyone's keeping track.
That was honestly my favorite we've done. It was super fun to work on. It was a good excuse to come up there a bunch of times, and it came out exactly how I'd hoped. Like a lot of times it'll start out as one thing and sort of mutate into something else, but that one, I think we did exactly what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it was super fun to work on, and like really, really proud of it. And at that point at Field Notes, I was still doing fulfillment, and they just sent me up there because I had visited the museum with Dan Elliott a few times. And they were like, oh yeah, you know what letterpress is. And I was like, sure.
You knew more than I did.
Yeah, but that was super fun. And we got a little something cooking that we can't really talk about yet, but I think you all will be very excited about it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody's upset.
Oh, I found another piece of Hamilton gear that I have, if I can share my screen for a second.
Yeah.
Because
You're not a hacker, right? You're not a hacker?
No, I'm not gonna moon you or anything there. But I was so psyched when I bought this type on eBay, and look at what it says on it. And it was a really good deal too. Let's see. So here's the so am I sharing my screen now?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
so this is the wood that I bought, and then when I looked on the A, there it is, Hamilton Two Rivers. So that's another piece of gear that I have. See, have I printed with it yet? No, I haven't. I'm still organizing all that stuff.
It's a beautiful type style, though. I love
I
it.
was so thrilled when I saw it, and like for a reasonable price, unlike so much of the wood type. Like, you know, the auction ended in the middle of the night or something. It was awesome. It was a score. I felt lucky.
Looks like French Clarendon, maybe 25 line.
Yep. Let's see. That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Erin messaged me and asked if she could see the poster again. So do you guys mind if I show it? So Bill and I did we brayered the form so that we could do these it's not just one color.
Rainbow roll.
It's not printed terribly. It's not registered super well, but I still love it so much.
That is so cool.
It's such a good one.
And just so it is 2 colors, right? So you had to print the 2 forms.
Yeah, it's 2 colors. And then the orange and yellow was actually 2 colors on that one. So we did that first, and then we did the black on top. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites. It's gorgeous.
It was super fun, and when I came to Hamilton, I had never printed before. So it was a really fun, I grew up in a family that did a lot of digital printing. So I grew up in a family that did bound galleys of books and typesetting and stuff. And I'd always been curious about letterpress, but it was hard. Once I signed up for a letterpress class in Philly, and it got canceled before it happened. And then I came on a road trip with my little sister when she had graduated from high school in 2009, and we came to Hamilton, and Jim had just taken over, and we had this wild adventure through the museum where he was getting excited and I was getting excited, and it was back and forth, and my sister was so bored. She was like, this is terrible. Why are we here? We had road tripped from the Philly area to Two Rivers, Wisconsin. And she was like, what the fuck? And then I got back and I was unemployed. I had worked at an investment firm doing all of their digital printing, and had gotten laid off because it was during the last recession in 2009. And I emailed Jim and was like, I don't know anything about this, but can I come help you? And because he had just kind of taken over and there wasn't a ton going on yet, he said yes. And then I got to print that. So it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do think one of my favorite sayings that people say when they come, or it always cracks me up, is because yes, there's often so a fanatic who's been waiting to come to Hamilton for years, and they're so excited. And then you can tell the family that's like, like we could be on the beach right now.
Yeah.
And then when they leave the building, the family, there's always one that goes, this was so this was so interesting, and I didn't think I'd like it at all. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I really want to figure out how to make that part of our branding. Like, you'll really find it interesting, we promise.
You'll be
Well,
surprised.
10% of you will.
If we can win over another 10%, we'll be feeling great.
That same road trip, we also went to the Forevertron in Baraboo, which was really cool. And Doc Evermore just passed this week.
I can see that. Yeah. Has anyone else ever visited? I have not visited there.
It's so cool.
Jen, you can unmute it's a tiny group. Share.
Yes, and isn't his daughter or somebody or his partner or someone like keeping it as a visiting place?
That I'm not sure. I honestly, I only saw the that he had passed because
I did not see that.
Who is it that, oh God, why can't I think of her name? She has the adorable little baby Inga.
Is it the lady who calls herself the Princess of Power?
No, one of our letterpress people.
Oh.
Sheboygan. She was at Kohler for a while. Steph, you gotta know why.
Andrea.
Sally Carson.
Andrea, yeah, Andrea, sorry. Andrea posted about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that he had passed, like, I think early last week. So I don't know what the status of the scrapyard and the Forevertron is, but it was when we went there, we couldn't get in. I had called him in advance to like make sure that like he would be there, and then no one was there. And I hopped the fence to go in because I was like, I am not driving like 2,000 miles and not getting to see this. And my sister wouldn't do it because she was a goody. But it was a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, I'm glad
it's still open.
I'm glad you hopped the fence because I was just thinking of the layout. I haven't been there in several years, but I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a way you could get in there because it's so huge and sprawling, and like there's not German shepherds and, you know, guard towers with rifles guarding it or anything.
It was not that difficult, but I also think there was an easier way to get in if I had just like walked around to the side. I think there was they were letting people in a different way, and I just didn't realize it.
But now you have a story.
Yeah, it was fun.
You can get in there if you park at the surplus, Delaney surplus next door to it. There's a way from the kind of back corner of their lot that connects in.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way I saw people coming in, but I just hopped a fence like a crazy person because why not?
That's fun too, you know.
Adds to the thrill.
Yeah, it was like it made my whole Two Rivers Baraboo road trip like way more exciting than it might have like been to other people otherwise. It was exciting for me regardless.
I never heard of this place before, so while you were talking about it, I've just been looking it up. It looks so awesome.
Oh my God, you have to like find the story. I read about it first in, do you guys remember those that book? It was called Found Magazine.
Yes.
Yes. It was like a weird collection of just like random stuff. I think I have it here somewhere, but I'm not going to find it. But there was a little article on Doc Evermore and the Forevertron. And like his whole story is he built this thing, this Forevertron, and it was a glass ball inside a copper egg that he thought was going to rocket him to the heavens for all eternity at the end of his life. It's like the most wild, like sci-fi life story, and like he had bought a scrapyard and just started making all these cool wild sculptures, and they're insane. It's huge. It's like enormous, like multiple stories high. It's so cool.
I do like Wisconsin's folk art history. Like, has anybody visited the concrete? Oh,
Yes.
it's up in Phillips, Wisconsin.
Oh, no, I haven't been there.
I've been by it.
It
and
looks really
seen it.
cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes, that's another one I highly recommend. Well, and Sheboygan or in Kohler, they're just aren't they in the process of opening up a whole new building?
Just for the folk art, I think so, or the outsider art or whatever. I think so, yeah.
So that's exciting. I don't know if it's later this year. Sally would know. We'll have to ask her.
I went to the world's largest six-pack in 1986.
That seems about right.
It was the Old Style Brewery back then.
Where is that?
In La Crosse.
Oh, of course.
This surprises no one, Jason.
I went snowboarding in La Crosse, Wisconsin in 1986. Dating myself.
I was 2.
I wasn't born yet. That year?
I couldn't resist.
Wait, what year were you born, Steph?
It was 86, so I would have just been born maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was in winter, so.
Yeah.
It's early February.
Oh,
Actually, I'm really sad. I was down the street from the Mustard Museum, and I didn't get to go in. And I am, I mean, it's only 3 hours away. I can go anytime I want, but that was earlier this year, and so.
I have been to the Mustard Museum.
Is it good?
Mustard. It's just so much mustard.
It's a lot of mustard.
That's all the mustard.
But you can taste things. They'll open like anything for you, and because it's also a store, so they sell the stuff. But they'll let you taste like weird, like bacon mustard and like anything. It's weird.
Is there a pickle museum anywhere? I would like to go to a pickle museum.
I'm sure
There must be.
I last week finished a jar of pickles and then drank all the juice. So.
I used to do that when I was a kid, and my father would say, "Sweets to the sweet."
Yeah, I still do it. It's not great. I mean, it's delicious. I'm not sure that it's good for me, though.
Need some need.
So can
I feel like a slacker. You all have such beautiful background sets with props and signs and machinery. I feel I should be down cutting a piece of type while we're talking to fit in with this group. I like Tony's shop too. I've never seen Tony's shop, so I will build something, a new set for next time.
But Scott, you're more comfortable than all of us put together, so I think you got that going for you.
Oh, I'm just working and cleaning and finding all kinds of stuff. Got rid of 2 printing presses, so that was good. So trying to help some people. Can't deliver them yet, but getting rid of some things. So.
Someone's trying to give away a 10 by 15 Kluge with inkers in Denver. They're having a hard time.
And Greg Walters loaned me a press to use for our spring musical. I used to do tech theater 40 years ago and still have a prop company, and I'm building I call it a unicorn press of it looks like a 10 by 8 by 12 CMP with a rotating wooden flywheel that everything looks like metal and things that move around. And then there's a great big, the largest Kelsey I've ever seen inside, and he pulls a lever and pulls out the fake prints and puts in the blank paper into the pocket and pulls out a new print for Newsies. So for a change, I'm not loaning, I'm building a fake press for Newsy, and Greg Walters was nice enough to loan me this big one. So the musical has now been put off till next fall, and so in the fall I will continue the process of posting pictures.
Cool.
Aaron wants the flywheel, so no, none of you get the wooden flywheel. So.
I'm gonna make a chandelier out of it. When Dad and my first visit to Hamilton was in 2010, I think. And for Christmas, I decided, I kind of arranged it. I think I arranged it with Jim. I was trying to find my old emails. It was when it was just Jim, and he was like cleaning dead seagulls off the roof and stuff. Like, it was not the glamorous days of the Hamilton Woodtime Museum, which is so glamorous now, I know. They still do all the jobs. They still clean the bathrooms and all the things, I just want to say. But yeah, so it's so fun. So it was the father-daughter Hamilton extravaganza. And I just remember coming up over the hill and seeing the smokestack. And we both started squealing like little girls. Like, we were so excited to see the real Hamilton, because we'd only seen pictures. And then to really get to be there was really cool.
and it was a wonderful week. A gift from Aaron, and I was trying to build my first pantograph, and I'd never seen one. And Norb was there, and we spent the whole week together, and we took things apart and measured, and got to see some secret things that at the time no one had seen. And everyone at Hamilton has been so cooperative and helpful, trying to find. Someone was going to make new wood type, and so they were very helpful, and I've learned so much. And I found all those pictures dumping memories, so I will keep them. It was very fun, and Jim kept. Then we went back for the one Ways Goose, and Norb was demonstrating, and he and I got talking, and Jim came over and said, "Norb, Scott, get away from Norb. Let the man do his job." So I had to go away from Norb so he could teach and do the demonstration. And I just had so much fun. Everyone at Hamilton has always been so wonderful. So thank you, Aaron Beckloff, for taking me. And that's where I printed my first wood. I'd never heard of wood type. I was a metal type person in college 40 years ago. And I got to use the collection and actually found a streamer they didn't know they had, and made a beautiful broadside, and I was so proud of myself, and got for more wood type, and I got all done. And I went and showed it to Norb, and he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "your S's are upside down." I went, "Oh." I still have them.
I would love to see those photos, Scott, if you ever want to share them.
I just went through photos the other day and found my first visit to Hamilton photos, and then that year I went 3 times. I went on that road trip, and then I went back for my 2-week whatever, and then I went back to help run the first Ways Goose. So I have like 3 different rounds of photos from 1 year, and I took a lot of photos. It's kind of ridiculous, like how many photos I took of like a piece of type.
Definitely, you need another job. You need to get a big file, and people can send you all their original Ways Goose and original Hamilton pictures for you to have.
I think that is a wonderful thing we should do. I will look and see what's the best way we can facilitate that, because I think that's a really good idea, especially because we just had our 20th anniversary. So like getting those all together now would be very important. So yeah, I think that's good. We'll make that happen. I'll put it on my list. I loved the idea last time of helping with mail exchanges, but while we're in the museum, we're not in every day. So that's a little bit harder, but gathering photos I can do. So. Thanks for sharing my poster from Ways Goose last year.
Oh. Will you tell them about, well, they probably maybe know your process, but I thought it was really clever and efficient the way you did something that was pretty complex in terms of registration.
Yeah. So I went through like an Easter egg hunt and collected, it was because it was our 20th anniversary Ways Goose, so I collected a bunch of X's. Larry helped me put those X's away, and I will never ever forget that, Larry.
Yes, I did.
It was like a treasure hunt. But put them all together, proofed them. I did the Hatch method, which I really love, because we had like our volunteer who interned, then volunteered, then worked at Hatch, and he still is there, Nick Larson, showed me that they ink it up, and then so that they don't have to do make ready, they then just use like paper. They use tracing paper, which is what I always use to figure out my prints, and then do a burnish instead of having to put it through the press. We'd always done proofs through the press before, but you guys know the make ready process takes so long. So that was really nice. And then I like to bring it in digitally to Illustrator or Photoshop, and then do all my colors so that I could figure out my layout. And so that was really nice, because then I had all my layers that I could figure out, oh, this is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. And then, yeah, it was 275, 300 prints, 7, because I had some tiny type that I had to separate from the other main 5 colors. So it went through the press 7 times, 300, and it was all on a Vandercook SP15, which is stupid, but it.
Aaron, put it back up so people can look at it while she's talking. Not to pick on my daughter, but.
Yeah, it was fun. And as you guys know, X's don't get used that much. So they were all in great shape. I didn't have a lot of make ready. So that made my job a lot easier. But yeah, Bill, I was so afraid something was going to overlap because I thought the wrong, you know how you plan a print and then you actually do it on press and then something shifts like 2 picas and you go, oh no, or like 6 points and overlaps where you don't expect it to.
That is a great poster.
Yeah, that was fun to do.
That is one of my all-time favorites. I'd say that that 10th anniversary Ways Goose, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, oh yeah, 10. It was the 10th anniversary, 20th Hamilton. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Well, and I actually want to know, Jane, your first time Hamilton story, since I think I like all these first time stories. I think it's wonderful. Do you mind sharing your first time?
So I was like chatting with Amanda. It appears that serendipitously we both came to the museum for the first time in 2009, just not together. I went the first Ways Goose, and then afterwards, because I didn't have to go back to work right away, I showed up after, because Jim was the only full-time employee at that point in time. Like, Bill was working for the museum, but he was in Minnesota and had to go back to all the things that he was doing. And so I showed up after Ways Goose was over and just helped him like haul garbage and clean up, because he was there alone hauling all the beer bottles to the museum, which is one of the loudest things I've ever experienced, because you know it's all concrete and then you toss them in the dumpster. But yeah, so that was how I got to know Jim, really. Yeah.
Well, you're down in Milwaukee, so we get to see your smiling face, which is always nice.
Yeah, I'm not that far. It seems too far right now, but you know, everything seems too far right now.
Yeah. Have you been I have not been productive, if I'm going to be honest, but have you got to print? I know you've got a press in your basement.
No, I haven't been printing. Work has been really busy. So like my regular day job, graphic design thing, busy. So, and it's cold in my basement still because it's still cold out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not liking these 30-degree days. It's awful.
It's not 70 where you guys are?
You're funny, Jason.
Hey, I just remembered, some of you are OG enough to remember this guy. Remember my wood type memory game?
No.
So I did this 5 years ago. This basically folded like around and went inside this tube. And in this tube are 26 different letters, all with the Hamilton logo on the back of them. And you flip them over and it's a memory game. So it shows all these typefaces, which are actually either really printed or digital from the Hamilton specimen. And Rich helped me with this. Like, yeah, 2015 it says on the bottom of it. And so I sold these. There used to be a men's only craft fair in Denver called Mancraft. And this guy got like bounced out of like some holiday handmade show. He got bounced out and he was like, well, screw them. We're going to do a men's only craft fair. And it started with 5 guys and it went on for 5 years and it grew to over 150 guys. And it was an amazing little event. And we don't do like cards and stuff for retail, but we would create random stuff like this. So this was like a wood type specimen poster, which was kind of cool. So one of our to-dos, if knock on wood, we get slow, is to put up an online store. Cause I think I have like 50 of these left. And I used to give a proceeds of their sales to the museum when I sold them for the couple of years that we had the fair. It was pretty neat. So you flip them all upside down and then you play the memory game.
I bought 2 of them, one for Aaron and one for Joe. So
nice. Thank you, Scott.
Aaron says she doesn't remember, but
I don't
yeah, totally.
Did you keep it?
Yes, but it's supposed to.
I have one on my desk. I love them. I think they're beautiful.
That was my Hamilton share. I was like, ooh, I think that's related. My little tagline was typographic treasures to test your mind. all need a little of that.
Very nice. I see Miss Lovely Mary Mortimer down there in an old school vintage Hamilton tee.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, I think I ordered it online. I can't remember. It was my early days. So my first Ways Goose was this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good poster.
A really good poster.
Done by Paul Brown.
I need to hang up now. My Hamilton story was I knew nobody, and I knew Amos Kennedy, and I decided I needed to know Mary Bruno. So I got in touch with Mary Bruno, and I said, hey, Mary Bruno, I want to go to Ways Goose, and I want to meet you, and I want to fly into Minneapolis and come out to St. Joe and meet you and go to the Midi. And so I met her family. I stayed at her house. I drove out from Minneapolis, and then we dropped my car off in Minneapolis, and we picked up Kim. I'm forgetting Kim's name for a weird second because I'm bad at performing. And we drove to Ways Goose, and in the middle of the night on our way to Ways Goose, we took a wrong turn, and so it was like we were like an hour later, and I think we got there during the keynote speak on Friday. And anyway, I think I met Jason for the first time. I'm sure I met everybody for the first time. I knew nobody. I was completely like, I was staying at the motel down the street, the Inn on the Lake or whatever. So I wasn't with the cool kids and stuff. And but it was fantastic. It was just really, really, really great. And I got hooked. So, and now I'm buddies with Mary Bruno and Jason and a lot of all y'all, and hope to get closer to a lot more people this year coming, because it's going to happen, damn it. We'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. What year was that, Mary? Do you remember?
2014.
Cool. Nice. I know I have that poster in a flat file somewhere. I forgot
As you hold that up, Mary, can we do a group photo that anyone that has a Hamilton thing can hold it up so I can grab a screen grab? Because if we're going to do Spirit Day, we should show our spirit.
Hang on, let me go grab something.
Erin Beckloff is the reason this happened, you guys. I mean, as you couldn't know, she is a cheerleader, I'm pretty sure.
Middle name is
Claire. Chance. I haven't seen all these. Thank you for letting me do this, and Erin for making sure I knew how to do it, so I didn't look too stupid. All these printer daughters all over my screen here. These people that I call printer daughters who get type, and I can call and get advice, and so it's so nice to see you all.
Thank you, guys, and thank you all for being part of our Spirit Day.
I don't think I've ever participated in a Spirit Day before in my life. So that's how much I love you guys.
You get your screen grab?
Yeah,
I did. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing.
Oh, yay. Awesome. I thought I saw you in brown. I was like, is he wearing the same shirt? Awesome. It's a little small, but I love it.
Who's Erin?
Oh, I can take one more for Matthew. Do you have a thing? I know the Photoshop if you want to hold something up.
Everybody hold them up.
Yes, thank you guys. I can put it together. No one will ever know. It'll be the magic of Photoshop.
I had to go dig it out of my flat file. Sorry.
I love that you did. Thank you.
This is a fun one.
Oh yeah, Tupateca.
The Tupateca one from 2016.
Did you guys see the guy from The Office who got Hamilton to perform for the little girl?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch it. It's like so what's his name? Like Jim Krasinski, the guy.
Oh yeah,
John Krasinski.
So he's doing a news channel on like just broadcasting a fun news or good news, and if you type in his name with Lin-Manuel whatever, I just ruined it, but it's epic. It's at the end of the post. My wife just showed it to us yesterday. Not that it's related, but it was cool because like this, I was looking at this grid and I'm like, dude, it's just like that. They had the whole cast perform.
That's awesome. No one wants us to sing though. Not at all. No singing.
Yeah. Total Brady Bunch. Well, sweet, you guys. I'm gonna get at it.
Yep.
This is totally mellow, totally chill. Nice work, everybody.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us on this early morning one. I'm glad we did it. It was a very
Thanks
nice.
for hosting. Great idea.
Fun.